Today's video was sent to us by a fan, and they probably got this off one of the other channels. There's some fantastic channels out there, some great channels, Hawaiian Crap Shooters, Color Up, great people, a lot of information on them, a lot of fun. But I'm not too sure exactly where they got this from. And this particular strategy is targeting, not targeting, but it's trying to protect against shorter rolls. It's trying to save you from those just terrible 0.7 ounces, those really short rolls where the 7 just crushes you. I once lost my entire bankroll in 8 rolls. It was 4 times 0.7 out, 0.7 out, 0.7 out, 0.7 out. So terrible rolls can certainly happen. And as you guys know, my strategy is based off of hitting a fantastic roll. So a terrible roll is just soul crushing to me. So now, admittedly, this is going to be a little bit of a grind. Because again, you're not so much going for big payouts as you're trying to not lose. So let's take a look at it. So of course, on the come out roll, they're going to start with a pass line because the pass line bet is an 2-to-1 favorite, 8-to-4 favorite to win. If it's not one of these numbers that rolls, if we don't establish a point, then it's a win-loss condition. 8 of those potential rolls win right there, while 4 of them lose. So there's a chance to make a little bit of profit just on the come out roll. Now, once we have a point established, what they're going to do is they're going to place a $10 come. That's assuming you're on a $10 table. You've got your $10 pass line bet, you do a $10 come. Because now at this point, they're protecting themselves a little bit. If a 7 were to come, if you have a 0.7 out, you're breaking even. 0.7 out, you lose 10 bucks here, but you win 10 bucks there. You break even, you lost nothing except a little bit of time. So that's their idea there. Now, of course, if a winner comes, then they're going to get paid over there, and this is just going to travel. But we want to look at other numbers. We want to look at how far this can go, because they basically take it up four times. So now, if it travels, let's say a 6 roll, so the come bet travels. So now, how much do they have at risk to a 7 if the 7 were to come out on the 3rd roll? Because this would be, the 2nd roll is what travels. First roll made a point, 2nd roll travels to 6. So now the 3rd roll, what if a 7 comes out? Now they have $20 at risk that only lose to a 7. Only a 7 will cost anything to these members. They do $20 come bet. Because now, once again, if a 7 were to roll, they are breaking even. They lose nothing but a little bit of time. Lose 10 bucks, lose 10 bucks, win 20 bucks, break even. Lost nothing. Cost you nothing but a little bit of your time. Now, were it to travel somewhere, at this point, it starts to kind of become up to you on what you do. Because now you have $40 at risk to a 7. If a 7 rolls, you lose 10, you lose 10, and you lose 20. So now, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue trying to protect yourself, or do you want to minimize your loss? Some people may reduce this down to a $10 come bet. So if a 7 were to occur, they only lose 30 bucks instead of losing 40. Other people may choose to go ahead and do a $20 come bet, in which case if a 7 were to occur, they would lose 10, lose 10, lose 20, but win 20, so they would only lose 20 bucks. You could do 30 bucks, so you'd only lose 10. You could even do all the way up to $40 to hope that, to try and protect yourself. Now, through all of this, what they were really hoping for is they were really hoping for repeaters. They were really hoping that instead of traveling to the 9, that this traveled to the 6 and they got paid $10 there. Because at this point now, they've made $10, so they only have 20 at risk, in which case they would do another $20 come bet. But if not, you're up to the $40 come bet area, and now it's really up to you. How do you want to risk this? What do you want to do? Now, they don't do odds until they've hit some profitability point. So once you hit your, okay, now what? What do I want to do? That is your true danger point. Because at this point, like, let's say we do one more. Let's say we do one more, and we still don't get a repeater. We don't have a 9 roll, a 6 roll, or an 8 roll. We end up having a 4 roll. Let's say a 4 roll. Well, now, geez, what do we have? We have $80 at risk. Do we want to do an $80 come bet? I mean, at what point do you want to stop and say, now I want to hope to get a little bit of profit instead of just continuing to hedge myself against any kind of 7 out that comes? Because now, if a 7 comes, you lose 80 bucks. So you're really hoping that you get a repeater, especially a 4. But you're just hoping that you get a repeater. You're hoping that you get some repeaters. So this is an interesting strategy because it does protect you on these short 0.7 out or point something 7 out or point something 7 out rolls. But at a certain point, your risk, your exposure is really, really, really high, and your potential income, your potential profitability is really, really, really low. So this is kind of, to me, this is kind of a dangerous strategy. I'm not sure that I would recommend this strategy to anybody, because you're either not making anything because you're breaking even, or you're making minimal profits, or you're taking a big hit. And that's the problem. If you take a big hit, like right here, let's say we took that 0.7, let's say we got the 7 out now. We finally say, you know what, we're not risking anymore. We get a 7 at this point, we lose 80 bucks. Now, how long does it take for us to make that 80 bucks back? That's always the thing to look at. Your worst case scenario, which in this case would be losing the 80 or losing the 40 if you stop right there. And then how long will it take to make that money back up? Because that's what you really have to look for as far as your profitability. This strategy doesn't have a targeted make big money strategy. It's not, you know, you've pressed and made nothing, but then you take that hit that you make a few $100s on. This is the stand fast, make 10 bucks. If you lost 80 or if you lost 40, you got to make that 10 bucks back up 4 or 8 times. Maybe hit a couple $20 ones, but it's going to take you time to make back up for the worst case, especially since the worst case is not a super rare occurrence. So this, to me, in my estimation, is a danger strategy, supposedly protecting you in short rolls, but you catch a decent roll and you're not really making anything. And you're protecting against short rolls, but you still have a spot where you lose. You know, you have a spot where you lose bigger. Sure, that the 7 coming out on the second roll hurts. It could cost you $10 if you're on the pass line bet. But if a 7 comes on the fourth roll, you lose $80. It's definitely dangerous. I'm not sure exactly how I would look at this other than that exact fact. It's dangerous. So I hope you guys find this interesting. That's all I can say is interesting. I'm can't say I'm a huge fan of this particular strategy. And thank you very much for submitting it. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye now. So for today, I want to cover another low bankroll strategy. We kind of covered a very, very, very similar strategy not too long ago. This adds a small little twist to it, very small twist, but it's enough that I thought I'd go ahead and add it on in here just to give people another option on how to play. So for this strategy, let's go ahead and start the player off with a $100 bankroll. It's a pretty low strategy, or pretty low bankroll at least, especially for out here in Vegas lately. Now, typically I would run this with a $5 table strategy. And I may briefly go over that near the end of the video, but for this one, we're probably going to run it as a $10 strategy or $10 minimum bet table. And the reason for that is that currently, under the current pandemic, it's almost impossible to find a $5 table. There are a few out there. I do know of a few out there at certain times of the day and such like this. But for the most part, you're going to find $10 tables. And even those, you're pretty much only going to find off-strip. You can find $10 tables off-strip. There are still off-strip casinos that have $15, $25 as their minimum tables, but there are a lot of the smaller off-strip casinos that do have $10 tables. So you can definitely find a $10 table at least. So we're going to run this as a $10 table. As a $10 table, what we're going to do is a $10 don't pass. As soon as there is a point, we'll use the 9 as an example, you're going to do the 6 and 8. Grab one too many. And then the next thing you're going to do is all of the hard ways. And instead of setting them up here, I'm just going to put it just like that. So you know it's all the hard ways. Player's going to get $1 back. If you're a dealer, never throw the chips to the players. All right. So this is the core fundamental part of the strategy. Now, We call this a low bankroll strategy. Really, this is the kind of strategy you want to play with about $200 to $300. And under the current climate of $10 minimum tables, if you're lucky, $15, $25 minimum tables in a lot of places. I actually know of on-strip places that are $50 minimums, the smallest you're going to find. A $300, $400 bankroll is a low bankroll right now. And what you're looking at here is it's kind of like the minor hedge in that if a 7 out immediately occurs, we're going to win $10 there, we're going to lose $28. So we're losing $18. So it's minimizing the loss. We may have $38 on the table, but if a 7 out comes, we're only going to lose 18 of it. Now, the spot that it can hurt is winners, but we're not adding anything to our don't pass. We're not throwing any lays or anything out there. The don't pass is a minor hedge. What this strategy is really betting on is these two numbers. Betting on these two numbers, and then hoping for the hard ways, which is where you get that minor change into it, and I want to show you how I personally would play the hard ways. Now, there are some strategies that will do this, and will do this as a regression strategy. Something hits, they're going to take these down a unit, and then they're going to do it again. And if they hit again, then they're either going to take it down entirely, or they're just going to go from there. And the reason for that is that they're trying to get one hit on it, which is to hit in one of these numbers, you have a 10 out of 36 chance. There's 5 ways each for these to hit. Their idea is that this hits, they win $14. They drop down to 1 unit each, so they only have $12 at risk. So now they are basically a free bet, and they're hoping that the point does not roll. Or they will hit that, and they will actually take the don't pass down as well, at which point now they have made $14, they have $12 at risk. It's a strategy, it's a grinder strategy, and it also doesn't include those hard ways. It's doable. This particular idea, this one does not work that way. We are not trying to come down on anything. And the reason for that is if either one of these hits, now we've made $14 in profit, correct? Although we are still down with what we have at risk. Now let's say a 7 out occurs. We win 10 here. We lose 28. So we have lost 18. But we hit one of these, so we really only lost $4. That's why I'm not a fan of regressing down on this one once something hits. Once something hits, as things keep occurring, you're likely to have a very, very small loss. And the idea with playing craps really is you want to catch these longer rolls, and you want to have your bets able to take advantage of these longer rolls. So with this strategy, we're going to keep our bets the same after the first hit. Now with the second hit, at the second hit is where we might start playing around. Now, depending on how conservative you are, you might go ahead and just take it, in which case we're going to do 15 for 1, and we're just going to take it and same bet it. The third hit at the absolute most is where you want to start pressing things. Right? Because at this point, you've got $28 sitting right there. You have $28 in risk right here. So if a 7 out comes, you're profiting $10. If the point comes, you lost 10 there, but you still made your money. You still made some money over here. Now, of course, you could get another point, immediate 7 out to wipe this stuff out, but your losses are very small at this point. If worst case scenarios start occurring. So now is where you want to start pressing things up. So the next one that hits, if you get paid your $14, decide what you want to do. Do you want to press that point 1 unit? Do you want to press it all the way and collect $2 and turn it into 28? Or do you want to press them both 1 unit, collect $2 and make them both 18? I personally would probably press them both. Now what this is not including is if they're coming easy or hard. If they're coming easy, you're throwing in $1 to keep your hard way up. You want to keep that hard way up if you're betting them. If it's coming hard, well, we'll get into how we're going to do the hard ways in just a second. So now we've pulled a little bit more profit. These are bigger. If they roll again, once again, you have a choice. What do you want to do? Do you want to press the initial bet, let's say the 8 rolls? Do you want to press the 8 up to 30 and collect? Do Do you want to press them both up to 24 and collect a little bit? Do you want to press the 8 all the way up to 36 and collect the $3? It's entirely up to you at this point. Me personally, I'd probably go to 30 on this, but everybody's going to have a different way of playing this, and it doesn't matter. You're already up a little bit. Any losses that occur be very tiny, if they would exist at all. It requires some really bad worst-case scenarios. So no matter what, you're up. You're up. So now that you're up off of your initial bet, this is where you're just trying to win. You want to go for it. Win. Let's win some money. We're up. This is a quote-unquote free bet. So let's win some money. Let's go for it. I don't mean let's start throwing in money like on my power press methods where we're just trying to jack our bets up the table max as fast as possible. But let's start increasing them. Even just a little bit. Increase it 1 unit at a time. If that 8 rolled, you say press me 1 unit, you're still collecting $15 and you made your bet just a little bit bigger. If it comes again, that 8, you're going to say press me up 1 unit, you're going to collect $22 and you're going to go up to 30. If that 8 comes again, you say press me up 1 unit, you're going to have to throw in $1, but you're going to collect 30. So even just the 1 unit presses, you start collecting a little bit. If you're pressing 2 units or you're doing the, for instance, from here, let's say the 6 rolls, I would probably press it up to 30. And then from 30, I would likely throw them in $2, collect a green. If it rolls again, I'm going to 60. Either way, I'm constantly collecting and making these bets bigger. And again, it's a free bet. So what's that twist I was saying about the hard ways? How would I do the hard ways? Well, to me, and to a lot of players that play craps a lot and tend to press their bets and go for it, they tend to look at the hard ways as almost a throwaway bet. It's $1 or it's $4. We've got $60, $50 in action that's actually in action that's being affected by almost every single row and place bets and stuff like that. So the hard ways are almost a forgotten thing, and it's $1. So their idea is, who wants to win $7 or $9? Is that life-changing money? Is that really affecting your next roll? Is that building your bankroll, $7 or $9? It's really not. So what do most players do? I know you guys can't see the 6 or 8 on there, but let's say the hard 4 rolls. Most players, not most, but players that play a lot, are likely to say parlay. Let's turn that into $8. Why? Because should the hard 4 come again, now we're getting paid $56. That's another setup for you, or 2, depending on how the rolls go. So that's 2 more shooters you're likely to see on $1 risk. Why not? What's it hurt? With the 6 and 8, it's even better because you parlay on that first one, you hit $10. If it hits again, you make $90. Does that happen a lot? No, 1 in 1,000, really, because your odds are 1 in 36 for a hard way to roll. So then 1 in 36 for it to roll a second time. So more than 1 in 1,000, but it happens. The other night we actually had a hard way roll 4 times without an easy way or 7 coming. And fortunately for that player, he wasn't parlaying, but he was pressing. So he parlayed the first one. He had $1. It was a hard 8. I remember this fairly clearly. He had a hard 8, parlayed it to $10. Hit again, so he was going to get paid $90. We said, you know what, make it look like a quarter. You got it. Here's $75 off your $1 bet. It hit for the 3rd time. Now we got paid $225, but he said, you know what, let's make it look like $50. Okay, here's your $200 profit off your $1, and it hit again. He said, you know what, let's make it look like $100. We gave him $400 off $1. Now the odds of that happening are fairly slim, but with the hard ways, people tend to look at it as kind of a forgotten bet. It's a throwaway bet. We're going to play the hard ways, play our $4, and throw in $1 every so often when it loses, because we'll make our money off of here. And just kind of forget about it until that once a month, once every other month, where we hit our triple parlay or whatever it may be. That's what makes it kind of fun. This is the grind, boring part of the strategy. The hard ways are the exciting, fun part when it actually manages to hit. So this is a low bankroll strategy that you guys could certainly try out. If you're playing on a $5 table, you basically just cut everything down in half. You go to a $5 don't pass, and you're going to do a $6 8 and a $6 6. Still going to do $1 on all the hard ways. If you manage to find a $5 table, this is a strategy you could very viably play with a $100 bankroll. I'd still recommend $150 to $200, but you could play this with a $100 bankroll and play for a fairly long time. Definitely a grinder strategy. And That is this particular low bankroll strategy. So episode, I want to cover a question that was asked to us by a few of our viewers of what kind of strategies or what can you do for the shorter rolls, because all strategies are designed for longer rolls. The place bet strategies, 2-point Molly systems, regression strategies, everything is based off of trying to catch that roll that's going to keep you going and make all of the money. And the statistically more uncommon type of rolls. But what about the standard rolls? Because as we know, a 7 has a 1 in 6 chance of coming out every single roll. Don't fall into that gambler's fallacy where it's been 4 rolls out of 7, so it's more likely to come. It's still a 1 in 6 chance, just every single roll, it's a 1 in 6 chance. So what about those rolls that are 1 roll, 2 rolls, 3 rolls long? What can you do? Well, there's a couple different things. The problem with trying to devise a strategy for the shorter rolls is it's a guesswork. It's literally a lottery. Like, for instance, if we wanted to design a strategy based off of 3 dice roll hands, how do you know what's going to roll? Now, of course, you don't know what's going to roll with any strategy, but when you have a strategy designed for 20, 30, 40 roll hands, you have a pretty high likelihood of various numbers rolling. In order to bet, say, every single number, you would have to bet so much that if a 7 out came within the 4th or 5th, or even within the first six rolls, you would lose money. Or you bet less and you just pick a few numbers, and that is the reason why some people do, say, evens. You know, the point maybe is 6, and they say, you know what, let me get 32 even, the 4, 8, and 10. Or the point is 5, so people decide to do outsides. You know, let me get 30 outside, the 4, 9, and 10. They're trying to minimize their risk while still having a decent number of points, which is the biggest reason why people play the inside numbers. The inside numbers have the highest likelihood of rolling. So by betting those, you're hoping that you're going to get at least a few hits there to pay off your bets. Generally, however many numbers you roll, you need approximately that many hits to be ahead if you continuously same bet. The downside of that is if you're continuously same betting, you fall behind on the longer rolls. For instance, if you start out with a 34 inside on something along these lines, so if you started out with the 34 inside and you just did same bet for the first 3 hits, and now we start getting some good rolls, continuing rolls, and now you start pressing, you're beat behind all the other people that press, especially if you slowly expand out before you start pressing, so you have all of the numbers, which is what I personally would do. You're multiple rolls behind. And now what ends up happening is you have this massive roll. I just had this last night, to be honest. We had about a 30-minute roll or so, about 25 to 30 minutes. And in general, most of the people that bought in for between $200 to $400 ended up leaving with about $1,200 to $1,600. There was one guy that I remember because he was standing right next to me, and it was actually the one rolling the dice. This was what made this even better. He was rolling the dice, and he was sitting with about $80 on the rail in front of him. And he had a pass line bet with odds, and he had a 6. And that was it. If it rolled, it was same bet. And he rolled for about 25 minutes. So at the end of the roll, everybody colors up $1,200 to $1,400, $1,600, somewhere around along those lines. Nobody colored up more than $2,000. Nobody colored up less than $700. Everyone colors up and they leave, and he's still here. The reason he's still at the table is because he has this 25, 30-minute roll, and he's got a whopping $150 in front of him. So he kept playing because he didn't win enough for him to go, oh, wow, I've got plenty of money, I'm going to take off. I had a solid win. Instead, he kept playing. So he caught that roll that everybody is playing dice to catch. He was the one who actually threw it, and he didn't make enough money off of it to leave. So he ended up losing his entire $150 he had in front of him. And I see that all the time. If you don't bet enough to be able to win a level that makes you go, wow, I had a great day at the tables, I'm going to take off. If you don't bet enough for that, you're going to lose everything, unless you actually have a time limit to stop at, because you're just going to keep chasing. That's what people with smaller bankrolls do. So by being that beat behind, you end up not making as much. But as long as you're pressing, as long as if you catch a decent roll, you can still make some money, absolutely. So the inside, certainly one way of doing it. You have to catch at least 3 hits in order to make up your money. You've got $34 in action, not counting a pass line bet. So any of these hits are going to pay you $14. Any single one of these hits. So if you catch 3 of them, you've made $42, right? You have 34 in action, so you're up 8. If you have a pass line bet, you're still down. You need at least 4 hits of your numbers before 7 comes, or 3 hits and a pass line winner, or something along those lines. You need a combination of 4 wins just to break even and be slightly ahead. So that's the problem with strategies designed for the lower number of rolls. Now there's a couple things you can do. If you want to design a strategy that is entirely based off of 3 rolls or less, then I would recommend betting a 7. Just bet the any 7. You don't want to go with the don't pass because you can get absolutely slaughtered on really cold dice. It sounds counterintuitive, but I see it all the time. If you've got really cool dice and you just have a lot of winner 7s coming, because the 7's going to come, the dice don't know if it's a come out roll or not. The 7's going to come when it comes. I see don't pass players get absolutely annihilated on come out rolls, on 7-11s. They also get annihilated on the don't come. I see a lot of times somebody will have a don't pass, then they'll bet the don't come. 7 comes immediately, and they have broken even, which is great because they didn't lose money. And then if the don't come does travel, you do end up eventually catching that roll, and you end up having a whole bunch of down behinds and you lose your money. If you're a don't pass player or a don't come player, always set yourself with a backstop of, okay, if I win this much, I'm going to leave. Because I see don't pass and don't come players double, triple, quadruple up all the time and then give it all back. The dice are not going to stay cold all the time. People seem to have this fallacy that it is betting with the casino. It's not betting with the casino. There's a house edge. There is a house edge on all of it. So if you are betting it, you are going to lose over time. But you can win in the short term. So please take your winnings and be happy with them. Set yourself a backstop before you're going to quit. So if you're really looking for those 3 rolls or less, I would recommend the any 7, $3 bet, you win $13, right? So as long as that 7 occurs in 3 rolls or less, you're gonna make money. You're not gonna make a lot of money unless you want to go $15 every single time on a 3-way 7. But that's one way of doing it. Now, there's another strategy that requires a larger initial bankroll. It's a dangerous strategy. It is definitely for the shorter rolls, but not the super short rolls. It is targeting those rolls that are between 3 to 4 rolls before a 7 out. Sometimes 2 rolls before a 7 out, but it gets absolutely annihilated by the 0.7 out roll. And that is the regression strategies. The thing about the regression strategies is you still have an opportunity to press if you do happen to catch a really good roll. The downside is you are way behind because you start out with a larger bet, then you drop it down. So now you need numerous rolls. You need what we would call just a good roll, 6, 7, 8 hits of numbers, just to press yourself back up to where you started at to begin with before you took it all down. We call it depressing because it's depressing when you take your bets down and it continues to roll and everyone's making money. But the regression strategies. The regression strategy is definitely one way that you can play those middle roll levels. Again, the only problem is if it's a 0.7. So we're going to pretend that we don't have a pass line bet. So come out roll occurs, boom, we have the 5, and now we decide that we are going to go 160 across including. This is why it takes a larger amount of money to begin with. From the get-go, you have to have a decent bankroll in order to play this. But every single one, the absolute lowest any of these pay is $30. Or $35, I'm sorry, $35. All the inside numbers pay $35. The 4 and 10 pay $49. But 35 is all that we really, really, really need to worry about. And why? Because if a single one of these numbers hit, and let's say the 6 hits, okay, it's going to pay you $35 All right, we're going to do it this way. We're going to pay it this way. And the reason we're going to pay it this way is because now this is the point where we regress. We come on down. We take our 160 across, including, and now we would go to 32 across, including. That's assuming we're on a $5 table. If we were on a $10 table, we actually have to do 320 across. Because now we have to win at least $70 per hit on any individual hit, so that then we can go ahead and drop it down to 64 including. Either one, depending on what level table you're at. So if you're at a $10 table, you need to have a big enough bankroll to be able to start off with $320 across. But that's where the regression strategies come into play. The entire design behind a regression strategy is to be able to basically have a free bet after the first hit of a number. So people that play the regression strategies, what they are targeting is they're targeting those smaller hands. They're targeting the hand that's 2 or 3 hits before the 7 out occurs. As long as one number hits, theoretically you're already in the black. You've already made money. You're slightly ahead. It's pennies, but you're slightly ahead. And now in their mind, their cross bet is a free bet. The danger to the regression strategies is the point out, the 0.7 out. Because as we just saw, you can go 260 across, or I'm sorry, 160 across including, or 320 across including, and then theoretically you have a free bet afterwards. Now, here's where you get the what ifs. What if a horn number rolls for your first number? Okay, now you need 2 rolls of the dice in order to break even, be slightly ahead, and have your free bet going across. All right? So what if a 7 comes at that point? If a 7 comes before you have managed to do this, you are now down $160 or $320. Up to you depending on what you bet. You're now down that much money. And how many hits does it take with your regression strategy being up just a couple bucks? Now, how many times do you have to hit to make back up your 160 or 320 that you lost in the 0.7 out? That's the danger to the regression strategy. So that's why the regression strategy is not a great strategy, especially for the shorter rolls. But that's what people are aiming for, is they're aiming for the shorter rolls, the hands that don't go all that long. So in summary, if you're trying to make a strategy for the shorter rolls, there really isn't one. The best you're going to be able to do is some form of regression strategy, or play the lottery. Go for inside numbers, go for even numbers, go for the outside numbers, and just hope those numbers hit once or twice so that you have at least broken even and can now play the rest of your bets. Or if you really want to gamble, you go for the any 7, you're hopping the 7s, and just hoping that something rolls within the first 3 rolls. Any of those can be killed by a decent roll or a quick point out, depending on which way you're going. So I hope this helps you guys as far as strategies for shorter hands with the 7s coming out a lot more frequently. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you everybody for watching today's video, and as promised, a little bit more detail on things that we are working on. So again, we want to continue trying to expand the channel. We're really hoping to be able to add roulette as soon as possible, and then some video keno, video slots, stuff along those lines. Unfortunately, it ate up almost all of our cash, paying off all of our bills during the month of January while we were down. And now that the holidays have ended, YouTube's payouts have dropped significantly. So we're kind of treading water here as far as all that goes. Do have a lot of things we want to add, though. Not just those things, those additional games, and hopefully some carnival games and such like that, but the live streams. The biggest problem right now with the live streams is with 3 jobs combined between the 2 of us, 4 if I include the 20 to 30 hours a week I'm putting into the YouTube channel. It's very, very difficult for me to have a day and time that I can commit to doing the live stream every single week, because we also have our very young child to take care of. But I'm trying to figure that out. I'm thinking it's probably going to end up being on Monday nights or Tuesday afternoons, or possibly both. I intend to do at least one live stream exclusively for our patrons, and then another one on the YouTube channel. So possibly both days. We also have a few other things that we really want to attempt to move forward on. I'm just running into
to either time or skill set issues. I do want to eventually have a website going for us. I did used to program websites over a decade ago. A lot of things have changed, and I just don't have that time. And not a whole lot of knowledge on the current state of building websites, hosting what sites can host, and how to build up the e-commerce stuff. So if anybody has any skill sets along those lines and would like to answer some questions or just help us out, shoot us an email, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. Also, I really hope to be able to start adding some exclusive stuff from Sin City Living, logoed shirts, hats. I'm looking to get custom dice made, even custom layouts made, although those would be pretty expensive. But I know zero about e-commerce and drop shipping and anything along those lines. So if you have any skill or knowledge in that area, please email me. I would love to ask you some questions and see if you can answer a few to help me figure out how to get that going. Same thing with designing our logos. I had some logos designed, very, very small logos, unfortunately, not big enough to blow up to put on t-shirts and stuff like that. And again, I know I know nothing about logo design, graphic design, any kind of websites that could do it. I literally know nothing. So if you have any skill or knowledge in that area also, please email me, and you're willing to answer some questions, please email me and let me know. I'll admit I don't even know where to start as far as asking some questions, but I'm sure I'll ask a few, and that'll trigger a few more, so on and so forth. So yeah, there's that, and of course we do hope to continue to improve our AV setup, but I am an AV moron, so also right there, if you have any skill sets or knowledge in that area, please email me, and are willing to answer some questions. Please email me and let me know. We would love to help. Otherwise, again, thank you everybody for watching, and we're very excited to continue bringing you our videos. Bye now.